Have you always wanted to ask a question about confidence or even been curious about what are the most common struggles with confidence that people have? Are you alone in some of the areas of self-doubt or not? And if you've always wanted to ask me a question or have a burning question about confidence that you just don't know how to ask or who to ask, this episode is gonna be for you because I think there's some encouragement that comes in finding out what other people wonder about confidence as well. Today's episode is extra special because it is all about you. I am taking listener submitted questions. I went to my Instagram and I asked what your questions were, and we got some great questions. This is our confidence questions part 1 because we've got so many questions that I want to make sure I cover them in depth and don't rush through them. So we're tackling our listener submitted questions this week, and from how to handle self-doubt, how to not put your value in based on who you're dating, on how to navigate your work-life balance better, and on how to actually really love yourself and have true confidence. Everything in between. This is going to be an episode with a whole lot of inspiration, a whole lot of action tips, and a whole lot of topics that we cover. So buckle up for a really great ride. I can't wait to dive in. Let's go. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, your go-to for boldness, motivation, and actionable confidence tips. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell, confidence coach, best-selling author, and founder of the College of Confidence. I help go-getters like you master self-talk, quiet self-doubt, and step into the life you were created for. You're here for more, and today's episode will help you claim it. Let's dive in and let's train those confidence muscles. Hey there, I'm Trish Blackwell. Welcome to the Confidence Podcast. This is episode 623, and today we're doing our commonly asked confidence questions. These are listener submitted, as you heard, and whether you're new to the show or you've listened for years, I'm so glad you're here. It is a privilege to be a voice of encouragement in your life. And I'm here to remind you that you were made for more, that you have more in you, that you have so much capacity and God-given talent and calling and potential, and that the only thing holding you back from tapping into the fullest, most abundant life and the difference that you are meant to make in this world is your belief that you can. That's right. This podcast is committed to helping you develop, cultivate, curate, and keep a can-do attitude. And on that note, we're diving right in. I want to thank you for being here, and shout out to you if you're watching on YouTube. Did you guys know I'm recording these with video now? We're experimenting. So if you like the video element, please tell me, comment on my YouTube, leave a comment on Spotify. You can catch the video on YouTube, and Trish Blackwell is the YouTube channel, or on Spotify. If you haven't yet listened and followed, if you're listening and haven't followed the show officially on whatever platform you follow, please. I actually know that about 30% of you listen on a weekly basis, but haven't actually hit the follow button, which it costs nothing. It's free. And what it does is it tells the podcast algorithms that people like the show, and it helps it get pushed out to more people. So if you love the show, leave a little star rating, leave a quick review, but more than anything, follow the show. It just helps me reach more people with this free content. Thank you in advance for those of you who actually follow through, because you're a doer. Remember, you're a doer. We are a global community of doers, of people who can do and who do. Okay, so our first listener question is from Katie, and she says this: can you cover navigating through tough family relationships on the podcast? I've had some issues with my family, and I'm praying to God every day that things get better. It's hard because I once had a very close relationship with my mom, but it's no longer the case. It's hard to talk with one another, and there's a lot of tension. I've tried talking to her, but she isn't someone who's necessarily open mentally to our conversations. It's hard to say, but she's a stubborn one. I'm seeking some advice. And hey, listen, I have been there. We've all been there. And I think family relationships are one of the best ways and areas of our life for us to use the tools that we talk about here on the Confidence Podcast and in the coaching world to better improve our quality of life, because our relationships are the groundwork and framework of our life. And we want to have good relationships, and we love the people in our life. And you know what? People are messy. People are stubborn. People are complicated. People are headstrong. People have political opinions that we allow to divide us. And I just want to allow that your thoughts about the people in your life are what you have control over. We cannot control how other people behave. We can't control how they receive us. We can't control if they're open to growth or not, if they believe in change, if they're positive or if they're cynical and negative. But what we can control is our thoughts about them, our love for them, our boundaries around them, and our effort that we're making. And that our ability to say, I will let them be them, and I'm going to be the best version of me. And so when it comes to family, in any family situation where if you have a family member you love, but that there's some tension, I would encourage you to do this. I want you to ask yourself to define and describe the relationship as it is right now. And then I want you to describe and define how it is in your ideal world. Let's look at the difference there. Now, your ideal world might be what it used to be. But we have to allow that people change, that circumstances change, and that maybe what it could be in the future could be better, but different than anything it used to be. So first, I want to give you permission to first lean in and tell yourself that relationships change, and that the current state of your relationship, even if it's not ideal, means it's not stuck. I think sometimes we think we can go into such a deep pit and tunnel of discouragement to think this person's never going to change. They're never going to get me. We're always going to butt heads. And if that's the narrative that you are leaning into, you will stay stuck in that narrative. And that will be what ends up being the predictor in your life. Remember, our narrative intelligence, your NQ, is a great predictor of your confidence and of your ability to create change and design your life on purpose and grow and cultivate healthy, confident, life-giving relationships. And so we could just simply start by changing the narrative and say, I believe our relationship is a work in process. I do believe all relationships are, they're living, breathing organisms. And so even if it's struggling now, it does not mean that you throw in the towel and say, she's never going to change, he's never going to change. A confident person says, I believe there's potential here. I believe that we're working through how to better understand one another. I'm learning how to love this person, even if they are closed off to what I want to talk about or closed off to understanding me. How we want to ask ourselves, you can say, I'm so emotionally intelligent. I have such narrative intelligence that I'm willing to meet them where they're at, love them for who they are, but also believe that they have potential to change. But I'm most focused on the change that I'm going to make. And we can say, with the context of how this person is now, how can I love on them? How can I enjoy them? And I want to tell you, I believe there's so much hope in all relationships when you come and enter it from this point. Now, if you want to work on your narrative intelligence, that is something that we do. And I teach in my course, Narrative Intelligence Mastery. I will teach you exactly how to take a situation like this that's complicated and reframe it in a way that you can grow through it. And you have, I want to say, walk the line of what I call flexible confidence. This new term, flexible confidence, we'll be doing a podcast on down the road. But if I were to describe it to you, flexible confidence is the belief and your confidence in what you don't really, that if the ideal circumstance, the ideal outcome happening, at the same time holding the disappointment that it's not happening yet. So I believe flexible confidence is the confidence that you go, I know for sure we're going to have an amazing relationship. I know for sure this is not, I refuse to say that this is going to be the story of my family, that we have turmoil, that we have this. I am deciding that our family legacy is going to be life-giving. I don't know how long that's going to take. But I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to love through it. I'm going to show up for people, even if they don't show up for me. I'm going to believe in change, even when other people are closed off to it. I'm going to be that person. And while I'm in the middle of it, I believe I'm also going to allow myself to be disappointed when somebody disappoints me, when I get hurt, when someone's closed off. And so flexible confidence is the ability to stay confident, even as you kind of balance the beam of kind of feel really like this is going to change and this feels hopeless. This feels like it's going to change. I'm all in. It's never going to change. And you just keep going, all right, I'm going to keep taking that seesaw and balancing back up. So we're going to have, I literally came across this concept in my own kind of journaling this morning, and it was life-giving to me, the term flexible confidence. So I'm going to share that with you guys. You'll hear me tease this concept out more with some workshops and some podcasts down the road. Okay, so I hope that helps. And if you are not, by the way, I just told you I had a life-changing journal session this morning. If you're not journaling yet and you don't have my journal mastery bundle, it is the single most significant habit of high achievers, of confident people. If there's one thing I said, and if you never bought anything else from me, please grab this one thing. It's a journal mastery bundle. You can get it. There's a link in the notes and the show notes, trishblackwell.com/journal mastery bundle. I teach you absolutely everything you need to know how to journal for growth, for confidence, for anxiety relief, for faith building, for transformation, and all in like 5 minutes or less per day. It is a game-changing program. Okay, let's go into our next question. Listen, question number 2 is from Every, and their question was this: Hey Trish, I adore your podcasts and IG posts. Shout out, thank you. I pour my heart into Instagram, and you guys, I don't always get the pour out back. So if you are on Instagram and you're not yet following me, you can check it out, Trish_Blackwell. I do try to show up with some value for your life, even if it's just some encouragement for the day. So thank you for that. That means I appreciate the compliment. I'm a words of affirmation girl. Your reviews, your comments, your shares, all of that keeps me going. So thank you. But here's the continued question. Your podcasts and IG posts have helped me get out of a dark valley to feeling like the can-do person I know I am. I love that phrase. I already told you that on IG. Can we start identifying as a can-do person? I'm a can-do person. I'm a doer. Say that with me. I'm not just saying it about myself. I'm saying it about you. So you say it to yourself as you listen. I'm a can-do person. Here's my question. Do you have any goal tracking notepads that you recommend? I'd love to keep one at my desk, separate from my daily journal, but I can't really find what I have in mind. Like something that allows you to rack by quadrant, which would be quadrants of health, family, fun, finances, etc. I'd love to hear any suggestions. Thank you, and thank you to all the good you do in the world. All right, so we already talked about this in our messages, in our DMs, but I am a sucker for a good paper shop. And I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but I can see it behind my desk. One of my favorite trackers is from a random papeterie that I saw in Paris, and it's a French tracker. So this is not going to help most everyone. But the reality is if I'm not using it on a daily basis, which I'm not, it means that I don't think it's the perfect tracker. I am always on the lookout for a perfect tracker. Which now leads me to what I'm going to share. I'm very excited about it. I'm in the throes of finalizing all the details of taking growth and making it measurable and tracking our breakthroughs, tracking our 3-3 method, tracking our consistency, tracking your future self from your 1.0 self to your 2.0 self. And if you've listened to the podcast for a long time, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry. This is essentially the ultimate tracker for you to see the invisible changes that are happening when you show up and you become the mindful person that you are. The fact that you're listening to this right now instead of music means you want more in life, means you want to think differently. You want to feel differently. You want to achieve more. Can we pat ourselves on the back for the fact where most people want to be entertained? You go, I want to grow. I want to learn. And so you know that you're growing. You know that you're different. You know that you're a little weird from other people. You know that this is all for your ultimate good. But sometimes it's hard to say, if I was sitting in front of you and I said, hey, Stacy, how are you different this year at this time than you were last year? And if you're not tracking, you might say, I don't know, I think I made a little bit more money this year, or I feel more confident, I'm doing more things. But if we're not tracking, we don't actually know. So I'm putting it all together. It's going to be something I'm going to offer you guys. And how do you get it? Well, I don't know yet. But the good news is it's going to be in the next couple days that it's going to be released. I'm giving myself that personal deadline. I can tell you this, I have been using this for the last 6 days. I just want to put the final touches on it before I put it out to the public. I've created a tracker and I've created a way to do the 3-3 method in a digital way that literally got me out of bed last night because I forgot to do it. It got me out of bed and it made me go down the stairs because the way I've set it up is so, it's motivating because it's an Excel spreadsheet that is creating colors as I'm adding it. You'll see it. You'll see and you'll go, ooh. But I can tell you, The joy that I feel to have created the tracker that I was looking for, the one that gets me out of bed, not because I feel like I should just to tell you guys I did it, but because I was like, oh, I don't want to miss a day. I don't want to miss a day, and it only takes 3 minutes to do this. So let me do this real quick, and then I'm set up for success the next day. And then I'm tracking my growth and my breakthroughs, and I can see that I'm a different person now than I was 3 months ago. You have a better coach today than you did last week. Can I tell you that? And you know why I know that? Because I can see it on the tracker. You have a better coach today and a better podcaster today than you did 3 years ago. And do I think I was great 3 years ago? Yeah. But I'm better now. I want you to have the same confidence to do that. And when you see your life changing, then it's easier to be way more proactive, way more confident as you pursue your ambitions. And then you start asking yourself, my gosh, what is possible? And so this tracker is going to be, I will announce it on Instagram. I'll send it out to my email list, and I for sure will send it out and all the details of it to anybody that's has access to my 333 method. The 333 method is free. If you don't yet have that, that is the first step here. So go to trishblackwell.com/333 method. And then you will definitely be on the list of people who get access to the first access to this new, I'm calling it future self growth tracker. I'm so excited. Like, if you're watching on a video, like I already talk with my hands a lot. My husband and my daughter judge me for it. Here I am. I can't help it. I get so excited and I have so much energy that it comes out through my hands. So, yeah, it's going to be good. So make sure you're on the list. Make sure you're in the know. It should be very soon. And I really, truly believe it's a tool that's going to be one of those tools that you're like, God, I'm just so glad I stumbled upon this, right? I'm so glad. All right, next question. This one is from Taylor. Taylor says, hey, I listen to your podcasts often and they're so amazing. Thank you, my friend. I was just curious if you'd possibly do an episode on learning how to really love yourself genuinely. I have struggles with basing my self-worth on others liking or loving me, and I'd really love to learn how to love myself without depending so much on others' validation. Specifically, I don't want to base my self-worth on men. Amen to that. I went through about 10 years of my life where I was basing my self-worth on men. And I can tell you, it's not a good way to go. It is a very discouraging way to go. There is one episode that I want to recommend because you asked for specific episodes. I got 4 for you. And one I had not included in my list, but I'm going to add it right here. Episode 592 is on being disliked, which doesn't sound very encouraging, but it is a great episode where I break down what to do, how to overcome your fear of somebody not liking you. Because when we can get over that fear, then we can have permission to truly be ourselves. Then we can learn to go, wait, all I need to do is like me. I don't need him to like me. I don't need my boss to like me. I don't need my neighbor to like me. Do I want them to? It's okay to want them, but I don't need them. And that episode, so again, that's episode 592, being disliked, is really, really good, really, really powerful. There's also episode 96. I mean, go back in the archives. You can find that at trishblackwell.com/96, or go to my website. There's a podcast tab. Just scroll down, or you can type in episode 96 and you'll find it. And then episode 201, also years ago, oldie but goodie. And then episode 585, which is self-talk and self-validation, how to be nicer to yourself. So those are the episodes, but you also highlighted that I think we're due for another episode on this. I will be doing a fuller episode in the next couple of weeks on how to really learn to love yourself, how to not base your self-worth on other people's opinions. So that will be coming out. But let me answer the question now in a practical way you can apply. We learn to love ourselves without depending on others' validation by learning how to give ourselves validation, by learning to cheer ourselves on. And that is why I have a 7-day self-validation reset, right? You can get that in the link in the notes. It's also why I love the practice of cheering yourself on, of telling yourself once you've done something that's hard, to literally say, well done, me. I'm proud of myself. Look at me. Look at me go. So to self-affirm, self-validate. The other way to start really loving yourself, not based on what other people think of you, but because what you think of you, is to spend time with yourself. And one of the pillars of confidence, I teach 5 pillars of confidence. And those pillars are, you've got to know who you are. You've got to know that you matter. You've got to know what you want. You have to know how to think, and you have to know that your future is something that you can design. So your future can be better than your past. But I think most of us don't actually know who we are, because we know who we are based on what other people tell us we are. How do you get to know who you are? Well, you spend time being with yourself. You spend time being curious, asking yourself questions. I have a journal prompt, 1,000 journal prompts, and you can download those. The link is in the notes, but trishblackwell.com/prompts. I have 200 journal prompt questions specifically to help you ask yourself, who am I? Who am I and what do I want? Because when you play with that, then you can start to get to enjoy yourself. And when you start enjoying yourself and you learn how to be a friend to yourself, then the fun starts. Then you have boundaries, and the self-worth from others of validation doesn't really matter, because the validation is coming from you. And so some of that is from having your own goals, from cheering yourself on, from really having a strong, solid, what we call self-concept. If you want to deepen your self-concept, that's work that I do. That's the exact process and the journey that I take my students in the College of Confidence through. We start when we identify who is the 1.0 me. Who am I now and who do I want to be? And you get this intimate exploration of knowing who you are. So I walk my students in the COC through that. So I would invite you to come join us there, collegeofconfidence.com. But you definitely can start this on your own and just spend time with yourself. And one of the activities I have had people do when they're working on this is to write down 50 things that they love about themselves. This sounds ridiculous, but this is the work we lost in our teenage years. Most kids and young children know this, but like, what do you love about yourself? I kind of mentioned in my hands, I love my energy, and I might be annoying to some people, so that's fine. I'm not for them, but I love that I can't contain my joy. I love that I have laughably very white teeth. And if you don't know how white my teeth are, check me out on Instagram or come watch me on the podcast. It's so funny. It's like the number one thing people comment on. So let me answer all your questions right now. I've never had braces. There you go. But I do whiten my teeth. I use Crest whitening strips. There you go. Okay, you go. I buy whatever. I do it twice a year. It's been game changing for me. And then I've had friends go, but what about, doesn't it burn? I just don't put them on my gums. So there you have it. That's actually probably my most commonly asked question. How are your teeth so white? That's it. Good oral hygiene and Crest whitening strips. I have no affiliation, no sponsorship. I would like to get paid by them, but I am not. So that is it. But my point is, that's on my list of one of the things I do love. I love that I can't help how much I smile. So write a list of 50 reasons why you love being you. And it seems really simple, but it's really, really hard. And for those of you who are going to do this, please do it. And then follow with me on Instagram, DM me and say, Trish, I did that. Thank you for the recommendation, because I would love to have a quick conversation with you just over DMs. I'm not going to sell you anything, just to go, I want to hear what your breakthrough was. And I want to hear you. I want to be able to tell you that I'm proud of you. All right. And the final question that we're going to do today, because like I said, we're going to do this as a 2-part series. Final question today is from Nikki. She says, Trish, I absolutely love your podcast. It has pushed me through a lot of new things with confidence. I recently began a new career in sales coming out of college, and I'm really struggling with where I'm at because a lot of people around me seem to have everything figured out. Don't you hate that? Making more money, buying houses, etc. I have a very happy home life and a loving fiance and everything. But when it comes to work, I feel unconfident in what I do. I'm not sure that I am where I should be, and I don't have the experience in the workplace to switch to many jobs. I feel right now that I should stick it out there for the experience and then move away from it, but it's really hard to come in each day with the motivation to do things that don't excite me. There are 2 of us here that are in the same boat, fresh out of college with no experience and are unhappy. I recommend your podcast to her, and it's helped us. Do you have any advice or episodes you would recommend? So let's start with the episodes, and then I'm going to give you the advice. And by the way, I'm going to list all of these episodes out in the show notes. If you're driving, you can quickly access those. So that's a heads up. So first, there's 2 episodes I think you're going to like, Nikki. One is Work Confidence. It's episode 544. The second one is episode 558. Obsessed with overworking, finding balance as a highly motivated person. Now, this is more for someone who's finding burnout happening or you're unhappy with work. So I don't know if I think the Work Confidence is going to be a good episode for you. When it comes down to it, first, I think we have this misconception that everybody else knows what they're doing. Can I tell you that most people don't? No one knows what they're doing. No one knows. No parents know what they're doing. No marriages know what they're doing. This is it's a choose your own adventure. But it's very easy to feel like you're behind because everybody else seems to know more than you about one or two things. So maybe they know something about the stock market that you don't know or investing, but let's also give ourselves context. Maybe they had a parent who taught them exactly what to do. Like my husband and I just sat down with our 9 and 7-year-old and walked them through the stock market at dinner last night. And we spent an hour and we gave visuals and we did this and we really engaged. Because why? Because we didn't get that. So maybe you're comparing yourself to people who have figured out, but they just had a good conversation when they were 9 and they weren't intimidated. Or maybe they had a friend send them one podcast episode. They've listened to one episode about financial literacy and investing, and you feel like they're ahead of you, but really maybe they're only an hour of listening ahead of you, right? Or if somebody owns a house and you're still renting, they might only be 2 years ahead of you, quote unquote, ahead of you or no more, simply because they've gone through it. Right? They know what a PMI is when it comes to a mortgage simply because they were signing paperwork and they saw a line with an extra fee and they're like, what is this? But they didn't know about it before they signed their paperwork. So let's give context here. You are not behind. You also know more than you think you know. And the beautiful thing about life is it's a journey and it's an adventure. Rather than tell yourself you need to have everything figured out, I want you to say to yourself, I'm here on an event. I'm here to figure it out. I can't wait to know more about having more money, about making more money, about buying a house. And I am open to all the future teachers that I'm going to have along the way. What I like though is that you know you are going to be able to make more money. Now, when it comes to sticking it out in a workplace where you're unhappy, I think it's such an opportunity. And especially I would give yourself a context of a year and say, how can I use this for my good? How can I use this, whether it's a sales opportunity or work that you don't like? I want you to ask yourself this question. There's something here for me. What is it? What is my takeaway to be? How can I have the best attitude? How can I be the best employee in a position I don't love? Because if I can do that, if you can master your mindset doing something you don't love, and you can grow and look at this as I'm being paid to get experience, and I'm learning what I don't like and I'm learning what I do. I'm gaining skills. Maybe you're gaining communication skills, office place communication skills, or sales skills. And you ask yourself, I want you to ask yourself, what are the skills? Whether I like them or not is irrelevant. What are the skills that I'm gaining for my bigger goal in the future? Let me go back to, Nikki, let's go back to those 5 pillars of confidence that we talked about. One of those pillars was you got to know what you want. So my question for you is, what do you want for your future? Let's fast forward 5 years from now. What do you want? How much money do you want to be making? What do you want your life to look like? 10 years from now, what do you want to be making? What do you want your life to look like? And you start playing with a vision. And we just did all this work in the COC, some vision boards and some decisions. And it was really, really fun work. And when you join the COC, you can get instant access to all of that. But we want to go, what is it that I want? And now we go, how can the work that I do today be meaningful? You see, I think there's a lot of character building that comes from doing work we don't like. And the context of, I think, the world, we have this shiny object syndrome that we live in the world where we're like, get your dream job right out of college. That's not realistic. Sometimes it happens, but most often it doesn't. We get the dream job by first knowing what we don't want, but also gaining the competencies, the skill set, and the confidence along the way to stand out in the workplace. So I want you to ask yourself, how can I stand out and be the best employee here? Doing the job that I like the least, but mastering the best attitude, because when you can master your mindset and your work ethic's off the charts and you work with integrity, doing something you don't like, can you imagine what it will be when you do something you do? And maybe in a workplace where you don't like, this is where in 6 months you can practice having confidence and courage to ask for a promotion, to ask very directly, hey, what would it take for me to get this to this position? What do you need to see in me? What can be developed? You directly ask for feedback and mentorship so that your skill set deepens and improves. Because when you expand your skill set, you expand your confidence. And when you expand that, you expand your desirability for other employees, and you're able to offer more value in any workplace that you go. So I think there's a lot to be taken away. And I think that the question is, you can ask yourself, how can this year of my work life be the best thing that happens to my future work life? And maybe it's simply getting in the habit of taking 15% of that guaranteed paycheck and starting to invest in your 401k very, very faithfully, right? And also going into work on a Monday and mastering your mindset about like, I hate this, I don't want to go, and going, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be that person, because that's going down. I will live with a positive mindset. I will live with gratitude. I will find good things in this job, even if I don't like it. Now, I've told a story. I think it's on one of the podcasts, either 544 or 558. There might be a different podcast where I mentioned there was a job my brother had. And I'll tell you guys that job in a moment, but I think it's such a great example of being willing to do what you don't want to do, because everything in your life, everything you want in life is on the other side of what you don't want to do. So sometimes we have to just do the work, grit it out, get the experience, do what's needed to get to that next level. But in order to do that, in order to have a good attitude doing what we don't want to do, we have to know why we're doing it. And then we set our mind each week, each day, and say, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to have a good attitude. I will see the good in this. And so my story is that my brother, who is an archaeologist, he has his PhD in archaeology. He's pretty super cool. And when we were in high school, we were scholarship kids to boarding school. So we came back, and it was a great privilege. I'm so grateful for the sacrifices my parents made. But there were a lot of things that we didn't have a lot of excess income for as a family, which were books and just different excursions and stuff. And the school was mostly paid for, but like I couldn't go to the movies with my friends. I didn't have $10. My friends were coming from homes of billionaires, and I couldn't go get ice cream. When I was in high school and then my brother went to college, it was the same sort of situation, and he came back and he needed a job. And there was we were lifeguards, and he had a lifeguarding job, but he had bigger financial goals. And my dad was a union pipe fitter plumber, and he was working at a place where it was I don't even know the word. I just called it a poop plant. It was a poop plant. So there's a better word for it. We're going to call it, for all, context here, a poop plant. So think large facility, and there literally was a lake of plumbing that was of people's discarded plumbing, a poop plant. And there was and my brother was an intern, and he worked with my dad for the whole summer. And that meant he woke up at 4 a.m. and they didn't get back till like 6 or 7 p.m. And he chose that job. My brother Nick chose that job and hated it. Well, and like legitimately, there were times, and he's a really good worker. There were times that he would do things and my dad would be like, no, we don't do that fast. Like, I'm supposed to keep you busy. Do that, undo it again. Like, he would do the job and my dad would be like, stop, we don't go, undo what you did and then do it again. And then there were days where he was literally told to go on a little boat on the poop lake. And he was the gopher back and forth between this processing plant. I don't know the context of why he actually, but like he came home one day and he's like, Trish, I literally was on a boat paddling in sewage processing plant. That's what it's called. And I love my brother so much for this example, because he said, I'm glad I know what I don't want to do with my life. He was very grateful for the time to spend with my dad. My dad loved his line of work, by the way. He still loves it. He's retired, but he's alive, just for context. But my brother was like, this is the best job opportunity I have for the financial goals that I have for myself and my education. And he at the time was saving up to grad school, and he didn't know if he'd get scholarships or grants or any of that. And so he was like, I just need to build the cash. So I'm going to go work at a sewage plant and be willing to work a 14-hour day, be underpaid, because that underpayment is more than the lifeguarding job or the other opportunities. And this is a great opportunity for me to know what I don't want to do, but be grateful for the opportunity to do something that leverages and pushes my financial goals forward. And I'll tell you, even just being the bystander watching that happen, thank God I did not have to do the actual thing to benefit from this story. And I think I look at Nick's example, and it's a reminder that anybody can choose you. And if you have the ability to choose a good attitude in a job you don't want to do, then you can be excellent at anything that you do that you actually want to do. And I think my takeaways go, it's not, if I'm unhappy, that's a job I can change. How can I change my attitude about this? So that's it. And in order to do that, we got to go, what is my next step? How can this be for my good? What skills can I gain here? And then what are the biggest takeaways on life that I want to take from the current job so I can design and my dream life for my future? And which again, of course, is that fifth pillar of confidence. You have the ability to design your future. We can build our dream lives. It's accessible. And take it from me, I'm doing it. I've done it. And you can too. And if you don't know how to get access to coaching with me, come check us out in the College of Confidence. That's your next step. Hit subscribe or follow. And if you're watching the videos, comment, say hi. Let me know if you think my teeth are white. And guys, I'll see you next week. We have another great lineup of listener submitted questions on podcasts, on confidence. And I cannot wait to see you there. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for putting all of this work into action in your life, and for sharing the show. Guys, go out there today. Go be more of who God created you to be. Be you. Be free. Thanks for listening to the Confidence Podcast and allowing me to be your coach today in your life. If you love the show, please let us know by leaving a review in iTunes. Are you encouraged by what you learned? Share this episode with a friend and let us know that the show is changing your life by saying hi to us on social media at Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or on Facebook, Trish Blackwell Coaching. Ready to take what I teach and really take it to the next level? Join us today in the College of Confidence. It's my group coaching program that you can join risk-free and cancel anytime. In the COC, you'll scale your confidence, your courage, and the changes you make in your life. It's the coaching support and community you've been looking for. Go to www.collegeofconfidence.com to get started. If you love the podcast, you will love the College of Confidence even more and see even more transformation in your life. Come and see for yourself. I'm cheering you on, friend. See you soon.